Air traffic control versus pilots.
Eva 015 Heavy, what are you doing?
Coming up. Hey 7-4 crew, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 747 pilot. My channel, 7-4 Gear, is all about aviation. I appreciate all of you in the 7-4 crew for sending me in these clips. If you have a clip with air traffic control that you want to see in this series, the two easiest places to send them to me is either on my Instagram or posted on the free forum 74gear.com. Let's get into it.
Departure Eva 015 Heavy, climbing passing 1,900 for 5,000.
Hello, Eva 015 Heavy, Sakata departure, radar contact, time maintain 7,000, flight in 090.
Climb maintain 7,000, confirm the heading.
In 090 7,000, Eva 015 Heavy.
Heading 090,000, 7,000, Eva 015 Heavy.
Time maintain 7,000.
Left heading 180, climb maintain 7,000, Eva 015 Heavy. Eva 015 Heavy, request high speed climb.
Eva 015 Heavy, approves requested.
Approve Eva 015 Heavy.
Something that I'm often asked about is why is something called heavy? And so before I get into this audio, I just want to address that issue real quick. A heavy means that the aircraft weighs over 300,000 pounds or more, has the ability to take off weighing over 300,000 pounds or more. Now I've seen two different numbers, but we're just going to use that 300,000 pound number as the general rule here. The reason that's important is that if you're in a small aircraft and you were to fly behind that aircraft, a heavy aircraft, it's going to be very turbulent and dangerous. Water and air have a lot of similarities. So the easiest way I can explain it is that because you can see water easier than you can see air, if you had a huge cruise ship and you looked off the back, you can see how turbulent that water is back there. The air is kind of similar. Right behind a jet, when we take off or we're flying, that air behind us is very turbulent, especially at lower altitudes. There's a risk to extreme turbulence if you got behind it. Imagine if the big cruise ship drove past and then you went by in a very small boat, it's going to be a very rough ride for you. It's the same concept. So having that classification of heavy just lets you know, other aircraft know in the area there's a risk if you were to get too close to them. That's basically it. One more thing is that you hear this pilot ask for a high-speed climb.
Eva 015 Heavy, request high-speed climb.
When you're on a larger aircraft, you want to get the flaps up. And if you're not familiar with what a flap is on an aircraft, it's these right here. Those flaps allow us to fly slower, and you need that for takeoff and landing, but you don't need it once you're up in the air and you're heading to your destination. You want to get those up because they make you a lot less fuel efficient. So what you do is you ask for a high-speed climb. That high-speed climb allows you to go faster than 250 knots below 10,000 feet. There's a rule in aviation that you can't go above 250 below 10, but when you're flying a large aircraft like this, you can ask for permission and they'll usually give it to you in just about everywhere in the world. So ladies, if you want to date a bad boy, we're breaking this 250 rule like every single day. I mean, we're asking for permission, but we're doing it. Now that that's cleared up, let's talk about this departure and what's happening here. Typically, planes that are leaving LAX were taking off to the west. We're taking off over the water. But these guys are taking off to the east, which means the winds are favoring that direction. But 90% of the time, you'll always see the planes taking off to the west. This right here is the chart of the departure procedure that these guys are flying. As you can see out here is just water. We typically take off that way, but they're headed on this way, headed out east. And what this says is basically air traffic control is going to give you vectors. Once you start heading out this way, they're going to give you vectors to get to this point right here, which is going to be a series of different headings. Something that I do when I'm briefing a departure and I'm leaving an airport is that I make it really simple. I'm not that smart, so I want to make it really, really basic. So in this scenario here, where you're taking off to the east, you're going to have mountains to your left-hand side. So instead of briefing something like, from this degrees to this degrees, we have mountains at this altitude, like my brain's not big enough to handle all those numbers in my head. So what I say is we have mountains to our left, we're not gonna wanna go left, and if we go left, we have to keep it really tight so that way we don't get over towards those mountains there. I just leave it like that. You know the right you're okay to go and you can go any other directions, but going left, you're gonna wanna keep turning. So if you just got turned left, you'll be heading north, right? If you're going east, and they turn you left 90 degrees, you're headed north, you don't want to be doing that because you're headed towards mountains. So that way if you get some type of a vector or you get some type of a heading assignment that has you going left, everybody's on full alert of what's going on because you're hoping that you're going to be going right. That's the way I do it. So when the plane takes off east, the controller tells the pilots, turn left, heading 180. Listen.
Climb maintain 7,000.
Left heading 180, climbing 7,000, EVA 015 heavy.
So if you're taking off to the east and they say left 180, you're going to be making a 270-degree turn to head the south heading, right? Now what I would have done in that scenario is I would have asked them, and I could have asked it a few different ways, but I would have said something like, confirm you want us to go left heading 180 or do you want us to go right heading 180? That would have made the controller think, why are they asking me that? They would have looked probably at their map again and seen exactly what we were saying, and then if they said no, left 180, then okay, then that's what they want. But that's turning 270 degrees versus just 90 degrees to go south. You're going east, and now you want me to go south, but what they're saying is turn east and go northwest, then south. It's a lot bigger of a turn, so usually they won't give you something like that. So I would ask that question. So it's fine to do this left 270-degree turn. You'll be able to get around the turn before you get to these mountains right here, but everybody will be on alert because you're turning to the left and you already talked about it on the ground. We don't want to turn to the left. So that's the setup for this event. It started off on the wrong foot by them turning to the left because that's what the controller was told to them. The audio got cut out for some reason, but you heard the pilots read back.
Left heading 180.
So they're turning to the left, which is not the direction they wanted to be turning in. That's the setup of how this whole event takes place. All right, let's get into this.
Turn right turn heading 180.
Copy, right heading 180, EVA 015 heavy.
Heavy, expedite your right turn.
EVA 015 heavy, roger, keep passing heading 010, continue right turn heading.
Canada 788, expedite your turn, stop your climb and turn, or expedite your climb, turn left heading 360.
Left 360, stop and climb at 7,000, Air Canada 788.
EVA 015 heavy, stop your climb.
Stop climb, EVA 015 heavy.
Air Canada 788, expedite your climb, maintain 12,000.
Okay, confirm 12,000 for Air Canada 788.
Canada 788, affirmative.
12,000, Air Canada 788.
EVA 015 heavy, turn left turn heading of 270.
Left heading 270, EVA 015 heavy.
EVA 015 heavy, what are you doing? Turn southbound now, stop your climb.
Confirm EVA 015 heavy, maintain 5,000, left, right heading.
You hear that intensity in her voice? I've had something like that happen to me once. I was in cruise and we were actually on a head-on collision with another aircraft that was on the exact same altitude we were at. When the controller came on, I could hear that same intensity. So when I hear that intensity in their voice, I'm really alert to exactly what's being said. Not that I'm not normally paying attention, but you hear that intensity in their voice and you go like, this is going to be very important to listen to. And I listen to it whether they're talking about my plane or any other plane because I want to have kind of a mental map of everything that's going on around me in the area that I'm at, right? So we get this heading, go this heading immediately, turn left, and then this other aircraft gets a call right after us, turn left heading this. And so I thought, that's interesting. And so way out in the distance, maybe another 20 or 30 seconds later, I can see this tiny little plane out there. So we were like really far apart, but we were on the same altitude. How did that happen? I don't really know. But there's alerts on the air traffic control system because it's obviously let them know that we were on a collision course like way out, so far out that they weren't even showing up on our radar. On our aircraft, we have an avoidance system. And this avoidance system actually has both planes talking to each other. So if the controller hadn't said anything, what would have happened is, as we got closer, those two planes, our plane and their plane, would have talked to each other. And they would have said, hey, we're going to go down, you're going to go up. And then we would get a command from our plane saying climb. And they would get a command in their plane saying descend. And that would keep the separation there. So even if a controller really messes something up, you're going to be safe. And that's something that we practice in the simulator all the time. So for those of you that are watching this that are scared of flying and are worried about that particular situation happening, they're trying to keep these Air Canada and EVA plane away from each other. And because they have a certain amount of distance that they're allowed to get close, they've obviously breached that distance. And she's getting real anxious about getting them separated, which is true, that's important to do. But I just want you to know that in the other side, if you are a pilot and you're experiencing this, we're going to get a message and we're going to be able to avoid that other aircraft, even if air traffic control were to not do their job. So there's a lot of safety measures that are put in place to prevent this from happening. And what happens is, if air traffic control were to give incorrect advice about telling you to climb when you should be descending, the rule is that you listen to your plane over what this controller is saying, because these two boxes are talking to each other, and one's saying, hey, we're going to climb, you guys descend. So we follow that over air traffic control, and we tell air traffic control, hey, we're complying with this resolution advisory, which is what our plane's telling us, and we're going to be descending, or we're going to be climbing, or whatever it is that it's telling us to do. So in this particular situation, the controller was doing the right thing about getting the people away from each other. But if you're worried about what if she didn't do that, what would happen? That's what would have happened. Air Canada would have been told to climb, and maybe the EVA plane would have been told to maintain their current altitude, or whatever it is, and they would have kept that separation from each other, just so you know. Now let's get back to this confusing situation here that this controller has created. When a controller is snapping at you about what are you doing, as a pilot, you typically feel like you've messed up because they've told you what to do and they kind of see the big picture, and here you are in your own little world of your airplane. So when she snaps at him and snaps at the pilots, and I've had them say something to me like, hey, what altitude are you at? I'm like, oh, I'm at flight level 360. Okay, cool. I'm like, why did you ask me in that way? Because it felt like I wasn't supposed to be at 360. So the tone that people ask you things puts you on alert. The way she's saying it to them, though, makes it sound like, and would make me sound like, if I was the pilot, that I would be doing something wrong. Listen to how she talks.
EVA 015 Heavy, what are you doing?
So when she's talking to you like that, now keep in mind, this is not their primary language, this is their second language. You're thinking, man, we're up here really messing things up. But they're not. This controller keeps telling them to go left, then go right, and then go left. So she keeps making them make these massive turns in degrees, but she keeps giving them this direction. Turn left this way. Okay, now go all the way back right. Now go back left again. So they're following the instructions that she's giving to them, but they're basically just continuing to go towards the mountain, which is the direction they don't want to go. Listen to these instructions that she gives them.
Climb, maintain 7,000.
Left heading 180, climbing 7,000, EVA 015 Heavy.
Turn right, turn heading 180. EVA 015 Heavy, turn left turn heading of 270.
So she's continually sending them back towards this other aircraft, which she's trying to keep them away from, and towards a mountain, which she obviously shouldn't be sending them towards that mountain. Really, really dangerous. Now, for those of you that are thinking, what if they hit the mountain? Just so you know, you have something, again, just like that collision avoidance system, we have a ground proximity system. So if you're getting towards a mountain and you hear something which is called like terrain, something like that, that gives you so much leeway that you're able to get out and power out and get away from any type of terrain or mountain. Even with the controller really messing things up, you're able to avoid any type of bad situation, just so you know. All right, let's get back to this video.
EVA 015 Heavy, climb maintain 5,000, and are you southbound now? I see you going northbound. Climb maintain 6,000.
6,000, maintain 5,000, EVA 015 Heavy.
EVA 015 Heavy, climb maintain 7,000.
Climb maintain 7,000, EVA 015 Heavy.
EVA 015 Heavy, I see you going southbound. Turn south, because I see you going northbound. Turn south now. Climb maintain 7,000. EVA 015 Heavy, climb maintain 7,000 and turn south now.
Right turn to southbound, continue climb 7,000.
EVA 015 Heavy, affirmative.
Firm, continue right turn and climbing 7,000 to heading 180. Delta EVA 015 heading 180, 7,000.
EVA 015 Heavy, affirmative. Climb maintain 7,000.
Maintain 7,000, EVA 015.
EVA 015 Heavy, turn right heading of 210.
EVA 015 Heavy.
EVA 015 Heavy, climb maintain 13,000.
15 Heavy.
First, I'm not sure what's going on. It sounds like everyone in the flight deck is having their chance to talk on the radio. There's so many different voices that are coming out there. I don't know how many pilots are up there, but it sounds like 3 different voices, or maybe they're using the hand mic. I don't know, but this is something that I thought was kind of interesting. But you could hear, as they got away from the other plane and away from the mountain, how much calmer the controller got. So you're going to hear that controller get more and more calm, and so you know that the danger in her mind of where she's sending to you is now relaxed. Just something to note. She obviously was twisted around. She's saying left and right. She's confused with north and south. She's kind of spun around, situationally unaware. It happens to pilots as well. You typically don't see it happen with controllers because they're looking at a big screen, so they're not moving. As a pilot, you're continually moving the direction that you're going, so you're sometimes having to figure out, okay, what direction is this way? It takes you a second to kind of look at your chart or your map or your screen or whatever to get a situational awareness. They're sat in a focused spot so they can see the direction that you're going. It's typically not something that happens for you, but it obviously happened in this case here. What happened here? The vast majority of the responsibility of how this thing turned into a total hot mess, in my opinion, it was on this controller. I think most people would agree with that. I guess we'll see in the comment section when this video comes out, but I'd say the vast majority of the reason this thing turned out to be a total mess was because of the controller. They're giving these lefts and rights and all these things when there should never have been that. It probably should have been a right hand turn to 180. They would have gone south, and then they would have gotten a vector out to that initial point like I showed you in the beginning of the video. I always like to look at something like this is, what could I do as a pilot in this situation to prevent this from happening? Because I like to look at responsibility a little bit different. I don't want to just blame, oh, well, this controller messed it up, and then, this was the situation, so I just went along with it. Because at the end of the day, if this controller were to vector me into a mountain because I was flying in some small plane that didn't have all the bells and whistles that my aircraft has, if they were to vector me into a mountain and I were to fly into that mountain, they'd be in trouble, but I would be dead. So that's not the way I like to look at things, of this kind of victim mentality. Here's what the pilots could have done. One, they could have queried and asked, you want me to turn left heading 180 like I talked about earlier? That would have been the first thing they could have done. Then if the controller said, yes, I want you to turn that direction. Okay, that's what I would have done as a pilot to help reduce the possibility of even getting in this situation to start with. Good situational awareness, common sense, and not being afraid to ask them to clarify what it is they're telling you will help you stay safe, especially when you're flying smaller general aviation aircraft. On a commercial aircraft that any of you would ride on as a passenger, there's so much protections and everything that are built in to prevent from there ever being a situation. Obviously, this was very close and not good and should never have happened, but there's a lot of things that are in there to help. If you're flying a small aircraft, a controller could vector you into a mountain. They're in trouble, you're dead. So just keep that in mind. When you're taking off from an airport, have an idea of the layout, especially at night, what's around you, so you're not flying around. And we make this joke when we're in the simulator, when you're flying over mountains and you're doing something, because they do this, part of the training, they fly you right up to a mountain and they say, even though you're getting the warning, just wait, like wait till the very end. Even though you want to full power and climb out of it, they want you to wait to the end. And then we always make this jokes like, what are these billy goats doing up here? Because, the controller is sending you towards a mountain at 12,000 feet. And so you're making this joke that you see these billy goats. So you don't want to have that ever happen in real life. All right, let's see the next video.
Departure reading UPS 764 Heavy 2.3, climbing 5,000.
UPS 764 Heavy, level departure, better contact, climb and maintain 10,000.
All right, 10,000 UPS 764 Heavy. All right, and UPS 764, we're going to return to the field. If we could just level off here, maybe 4,000 for now. We'll get back to you.
UPS 764 Heavy, maintain 4,000, and let me know whenever you can take a turn if you need any assistance.
All right, we'll go present heading up to 4,000 UPS 764 Heavy. And we'll take a turn now for UPS 764 Heavy.
UPS 764 Heavy, turn right heading 270.
All right, turn 270 UPS 764 Heavy.
UPS 764 Heavy, do you guys need any assistance?
Stand by one. 764, sir, we're going to be returning to the field here, and we're going to need a downwind turn. It looks like we've got an avionics smoke warning, so we'll declare an emergency.
UPS 764 Heavy, roger, and expect runway 17 right. UPS 764 Heavy, turn right heading 345.
Right to 345, UPS 764 Heavy.
UPS 764 Heavy, when able to say souls and fuel on board.
Yes, sir, we've got about 5 hours of fuel on board, and souls are 3.
I really like this audio because this is textbook. It's textbook from what the pilots are supposed to do and what the controllers are supposed to do. These UPS pilots did this perfectly. This is exactly what we do in the simulator, and they executed it really well. You can hear during their check-in, you can hear that alarm that's going off in the background while the guy is on the radio transmitting. That's not like a Billy forgot to put his seatbelt sound on. It's going to be some type of an indication that there's a problem.
All right, 1010,000 UPS 764 Heavy.
So that ringing that you're hearing there is most likely, I can't say for sure because I've never flown this aircraft, but I'm guessing that that was the alert that they were getting about the avionics smoke warning. Avionics are basically all of our computers and stuff that we use while we're out flying. So they're getting that smoke warning. So now they declared an emergency, and like I said, it's transitioning from being declaring an emergency to a pan-pan or a mayday. So you can kind of decide what you would do here, and honestly you could make arguments for both. They're not smelling smoke because the guys aren't putting their oxygen masks on. It doesn't sound like it, at least when they're making these transmissions. So they're not putting their oxygen masks on, and if you're not smelling smoke, there's really no reason to. And then you could make the argument mayday, because if a plane's on fire, that's pretty high on the worst possible situations that you can have. A fire on the engine, I don't really care, not a big deal. Fire inside the plane, that's a massive, massive problem. So it sounds like they're getting the warning, but they don't think it's real because they don't smell any smoke because they're not putting on their masks. So you would probably go with pan-pan because it's urgent, but it's not life-threatening, at least not right now.
UPS 764 Heavy, when able to say souls and fuel on board.
When you're in an emergency, the fuel makes sense. They want to know how long this plane can fly for, but why souls on board? The fire department, the people that are on the ground there, need to know roughly how many people are they looking for. 3 people? That's pretty easy. If you have 400, it's a lot more complicated. But also, you could be transporting dead bodies. You could be transporting maybe some military troops that have passed away, and you could be transporting their bodies, and they're not a soul. They're just a body that's on the aircraft. So they ask for souls. They want to know the number of live people that they need to be looking for. Because these firefighters, I mean, talk about being brave. To be able to run into a plane that's on fire that just crashed, I don't have the balls to do that personally, but they do. So they need to know how many people they're looking for. I really like this audio because what these pilots did and what air traffic control did were perfect. And you can see how well it all works together. Exactly what the pilots did is something that we get taught as we go through training. All the way through our career, we go through this type of scenario. You've taken off, there's a problem. Make the decision, we're going to come back in and land. And that's exactly what's going on. You can't hear from the cockpit voice recorder what all is being said, but that standby 1, they're working it out. They make the decision, let's go back. They say, hey, we're going to go back. They do all that, and it worked out perfectly. It was beautiful, everything that they did there. And they were going on the side of caution. Like I said, they weren't wearing their masks, but you don't want to go flying thinking, hey, that's probably just a faulty message. I wouldn't worry about the smoke. That's not what you want to do. Fire is not something you want to play with. You want to come back in and land, let the mechanics figure out why did that alert come up. Because it could just be something super, super small, a small amount of smoke, but you don't want to be out over the ocean or flying or at 40,000 feet when you find out, oh, we have a full-blown fire, now we need to get on the ground. That's not when you want to find that out. You always want to err on the side of caution, which is what these pilots did. They came back in and landed, and I don't know, it probably got cleared up after that, and they found out what was causing it, and then the plane probably just left an hour or 2 later. Now, of course, as our ritual is here, we have to have a fun one at the end. Listen up.
And JetBlue 76, any chance we can get 22 right?
76, I can pass it along for you. The next guy's making the calls here. I'll let them know you want it.
Thank you, sir.
And JetBlue 76, even though the guy next to me is a grump, he's going to give you 22 right. Set up for 22 right.
Roger, JetBlue 76, 22 right, thank you.
JetBlue 76, final approach 32-4, good day.
32-4, you have a good day, JetBlue 76.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, JetBlue 76, 4,000.
Blue 76, New York. Who told you you could have the right side?
The last guy.
I'm just kidding. That's proof. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
He said I was grumpy.
Sounded like he could be a little bit grumpy there for a minute, but that's all right. We'll let it go.
Did he really transmit that?
So sometimes the pilots will request a specific runway, which is what they're doing here. They want 22 right. And that might be because it gets them closer to their gate so they can park, so you as a passenger can get off quicker. It could be so they could park the plane because they're ready to be done and go home. Who knows? But sometimes what will happen is we will request a specific runway and then they can give it to you. Now, like I said earlier, when you get questioned, just like he said that, who told you could have 22 right?
Blue 76, New York. Who told you you could have the right side?
That type of question is sometimes they're asking it not meaning to be accusatory. This guy's obviously playing around. It's pretty funny. But they'll do it just asking you, who told you you could do that? And you think, man, did I mess something up? So they have all the tapes to play everything back. You're up there trying to fly the plane and not be in any trouble. So this guy's obviously messing with them, and it's pretty funny. Now, if you want to see some pilots making some real bad decisions, you're going to want to check out this video here. And if you want to see Hollywood make some poor decisions because they decided to make a movie without asking for a pilot's opinion of how it would really be, check out this video up here. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.